The sky above Aurelia was alive with movement. Patrol drones circled the city, shimmering in the light of the artificial sun. The city had awakened from its long silence, ready for whatever challenge might come. Princess Ilara stood at the edge of the central platform, feeling the wind against her face. Her chest lifted with a mixture of determination, hope, and relief. The Zytrons had been challenged, but the final test still awaited. "Ilara, are you ready?" Elias' voice came through the communicator. He had been her guide, her ally, and her friend through every danger, every test, every moment of fear. "I am ready," she replied firmly. "The city is prepared. The defenses are active. The people, we can rebuild, but only if we survive this." Elias's voice carried a quiet pride. "We've come far, Princess, and I believe we can finish this. The Zytrons are determined, but so are we." The warning came moments later. A fleet of Zytron ships appeared on the horizon, moving with deadly precision. Their goal was clear, to destroy Aurelia completely. But Ilara's city was no longer silent, and she was no longer the princess who had waited helplessly. "Activate the shields," she commanded. "Use the drones to protect the platforms. Every energy barrier, every defense system, now." Ilara's fingers flew across the control panels, initiating the city's defenses. Energy shields shimmered across the platforms, drones lifted into the air, and automated turrets hummed quietly, ready to respond. The city pulsed with life, and Ilara felt a thrill of pride. This was her Aurelia, alive and strong. The Zytrons approached. Their ships opened fire, sending beams of energy toward the floating city. The shields absorbed the blasts, flickering but holding firm. Drones responded swiftly, intercepting some of the smaller attacks. Aurelia fought back, not with raw power alone, but with strategy, ingenuity, and precision. Ilara's mind raced. She directed the drones, rerouted energy flows, and coordinated the city's defenses. Her courage and quick thinking turned the tide. The Zytrons had expected a helpless city, but they found one alive, prepared, and resilient. "Princess, the fleet is splitting into two groups," Elias warned. "One is heading for the eastern platforms. We need to prevent them from landing." Ilara nodded. "I will handle the drones there. You guide me through the defenses. We must protect every platform." They moved like a synchronized team, human and Aurelia working together. Ilara's knowledge of the city allowed her to anticipate weak points, while Elias's ingenuity provided creative solutions to unexpected challenges. Together, they were unstoppable. The first Zytron ship attempted to breach a platform, but a well-timed energy pulse from the drones knocked it off course. Another ship tried to force its way through the main bridge, only to be trapped in a temporary energy barrier, rendering it helpless. Aurelia was fighting back, and its people's legacy lived on through the courage of its princess and the human who had come to her aid. But the battle was not without danger. A massive Zytron warship descended toward the city's central tower, where Ilara had fought and planned. Its energy beams threatened to penetrate the shields. Ilara's heart pounded. One wrong move and the city could fall. "Elias, we need a new plan," she said, determination burning in her eyes. "We cannot let this ship reach the tower." "Agreed," he said. "Follow my instructions exactly." He guided her through a daring maneuver. Ilara rerouted energy from non-essential systems to reinforce the shield directly above the tower. At the same time, Elias activated a series of drones in a pattern that confused the Zytron sensors, making the warship miscalculate its path. With precise timing, the combined defenses forced the ship to retreat, unable to breach the city's heart. Ilara exhaled, relief flooding her. She realized that courage was not just about facing fear. It was about using every resource wisely, thinking clearly under pressure, and trusting those who fought alongside you. Aurelia was alive, and so was hope. The battle raged on through the night, but the tide had turned. The Zytrons were clever, but they had not anticipated the unity, courage, and ingenuity of Aurelia's defenders. Each attack they launched was met with precise countermeasures, and their fleet began to retreat one by one. Ilara and Elias watched the horizon as the last Zytron ships disappeared into space. The city's shields hummed quietly, drones returned to their stations, and Aurelia stood tall, intact and undefeated. The princess allowed herself a small smile. They had survived. They had protected the legacy of their people. "We did it," Elias said softly, pride evident in his voice. "Aurelia is safe. No, Alara replied, her eyes bright. We did it together. I could not have done this alone. Your courage, your ideas, they made all the difference. Elias shook his head. No, Princess. You led us. Humans are clever, but we need courage, and you have more than anyone I've ever met. Alara felt warmth in her chest. Months ago, she had been trapped in despair, alone and hopeless. Now she stood victorious, her city alive, and a human ally by her side. She realized something important. The greatest strength came from unity, from combining courage, ingenuity, and determination. The following days were filled with rebuilding. Aurelia's platforms were repaired, energy systems restored, and bridges reconstructed. Alara worked tirelessly, guiding engineers and drones alike, ensuring the city could thrive once more. She also welcomed Elias's help in planning future defenses and teaching strategies that combined human creativity with Aurelia's technology. Princess, Elias said one morning, I will need to leave soon. My mission is to explore the stars, to help humans in other places. But I want you to know, Aurelia is stronger now because of our work together. Alara's heart sank slightly, but she understood. I know you have done more than anyone could ask. But you will always be part of Aurelia's story. You have taught me that courage and ingenuity can change the outcome of even the darkest moments. Elias smiled. And you have taught me that courage and heart can make the impossible possible. Keep leading, Princess. Protect your city, and never forget what humans and Aurelians can accomplish together. They stood together on the balcony, looking out over the city. The platforms glimmered in the sunlight. The towers stretched into the sky, and the city hummed with renewed energy. Aurelia was alive again, and so was the spirit of its people. Alara, Elias said, I will return one day. Until then, the city is in your hands. The princess nodded, a confident smile spreading across her face. I will protect it, and I will honor the courage that brought us this far. Aurelia will never fall, not while we have hope, ingenuity, and determination. As Elias's vessel disappeared into the horizon, Alara felt a deep sense of peace. She had faced despair, danger, and overwhelming odds, and she had triumphed. She had discovered that courage was not the absence of fear, but the will to act despite it. She had learned that humans, with their ingenuity, could change the course of events in ways that technology alone could not. The city below shimmered, alive and vibrant. Children would once again play on the platforms. Gardens would bloom. The bridges would carry travelers across the sky. Aurelia was no longer a city trapped in despair. It was a city reborn. Princess Alara stood tall on the balcony, her hair flowing in the wind. She had waited in despair, and a human's voice had broken the silence. That voice had brought courage, hope, and the strength to act. And now Aurelia stood as a beacon of resilience, ingenuity, and the unstoppable spirit of those who refused to give up. The story of Aurelia and its princess was not over. It would continue, written in the courage of its people, the ingenuity of allies, and the unyielding hope that one voice, one human voice, had brought into the silence. Alara smiled as she looked at the horizon, imagining the stars beyond, the distant worlds Elias would explore, and the possibilities that awaited. She understood now that the universe was full of challenges, but also full of allies, hope, and the power of courage. The princess who had once waited in despair was no longer alone. She was a leader, a protector, and a symbol of hope. Aurelia was alive, and its story would continue, not in fear but in courage, ingenuity, and the promise of a brighter future. A new dawn rose over the floating city, golden and vibrant. The silence was gone, replaced by life, energy, and possibility. Princess Alara had faced the darkness, embraced the unknown, and emerged stronger. And in the quiet hum of Aurelia, the echo of a human voice remained. A reminder that courage, hope, and determination could change the world. The distant planet of Vera 7 stretched beneath a lavender sky, its jagged mountains and frozen plains glinting in the early sunlight. From orbit, the human colony looked tiny, almost fragile against the vast alien world. Yet within its reinforced walls and domed habitats, the humans moved with purpose, aware that the Krith, a mysterious alien species, watched from beyond the stars. They were stronger, faster, and more technologically advanced. But humans had something the Krith did not: instinct, creativity, and an unyielding spirit. Lieutenant Aaron Cade stepped off the dropship, boots crunching against the icy ground. He was tall and lean, with a calm presence that drew attention without demanding it. His hazel eyes swept over the training grounds, noting the positions of other soldiers, their postures, and their movements. There was a method to the chaos, a rhythm he seemed to understand instinctively. The Krith had tested many worlds, and yet here, on Vera 7, humans held their ground. Commander Lyra Ven observed from a nearby tower, her eyes scanning the troops through a tactical interface. She had heard of Aaron Cade, the soldier whose reputation preceded him. Stories of his quick thinking in combat, his ability to inspire his team, and his uncanny knack for improvisation reached far beyond the colony. She had always been skeptical of human abilities, believing that alien technology and strategy were far superior. Yet as she watched Aaron move, she felt a stir of curiosity she could not ignore. He approached the training field where a small group of soldiers practiced maneuvers. With a swift, fluid motion, he joined their formation, stepping into the drill without hesitation. The soldiers followed his lead, responding to subtle gestures, slight shifts in stance, and almost invisible cues. He did not raise his voice, did not shout commands. Yet the unit moved as one, as if each member anticipated the other's thoughts. Lyra's breath caught slightly. She whispered under her breath, a soft murmur meant for no one. "I need him." She could not explain the feeling. Was it admiration, curiosity, or something deeper? But one thing was clear. The humans, led by him, could do what others thought impossible. "Lieutenant Cade," a sergeant called, interrupting her thoughts. "Training drill begins in 5 minutes. You will lead the defense scenario." Aaron nodded, already analyzing the field. There were obstacles, simulated threats, and a timer. His mind worked quickly, calculating movements, cover positions, and potential enemy paths. Unlike most soldiers, he did not rely solely on strength or weapons. He relied on thinking, on observation, and on understanding both his team and the environment. The drill began. Small robotic drones simulated Krith combat units moving swiftly, firing harmless but blinding projectiles. Soldiers ducked, rolled, and fired in return. Aaron moved among them like a shadow, positioning, guiding, and correcting. When one soldier stumbled, he was there, quietly adjusting their stance and redirecting their attention. When a drone veered unexpectedly, he adapted instantly, directing the team to take advantage of the new path. Lyra watched, fascinated. Each decision Aaron made seemed effortless, yet it required immense awareness. He was not just a soldier. He was a conductor, orchestrating human reflexes, intuition, and creativity into something larger than any individual. In moments when drones surrounded the team, the soldiers instinctively moved to create escape routes, confuse the attackers, and counterattack, all without a word from him. As the final drone fell, the team paused, breathing heavily but triumphant. Aaron stepped back, letting the soldiers catch their breath, his calm expression unchanged. It was a performance, yet it was real, and it was remarkable. "Impressive," Lyra said to herself, still observing through the interface. Her voice was quiet, almost reverent. "I need him." The warning siren sounded across the colony, cutting through the quiet anticipation. A red alert flashed across the monitors, signaling incoming Krith ships. The drills became real. Panic stirred among the junior officers, but Aaron's presence steadied them. "Move to positions. Shields up. Prepare for landing." His voice rang out, not in panic, but with firm command. The soldiers responded immediately, moving to the perimeter defenses. Aaron's mind raced ahead, imagining potential strategies the Krith might use, calculating human weaknesses and strengths, and identifying how to turn the situation to their advantage. From her observation post, Lyra saw the colony's defense teams begin to falter under the pressure. Automated turrets jammed, communication lines scrambled, and confusion spread. Yet Aaron did not hesitate. He ran between stations, checking weapons, giving quick corrections, and maintaining morale with short, clear instructions. His presence was a beacon of calm, and the humans responded. The first Krith ships pierced the atmosphere, metallic and menacing against the violet sky. They glowed with an eerie light, their surfaces covered in strange alien symbols. Aaron's eyes narrowed, scanning their formations. Unlike human machines, these ships were built for precision and speed, designed to overwhelm any opponent. But humans had something the Krith could not predict: ingenuity. Aaron signaled his team. "Split into 2 squads. Squad Alpha will cover the east approach. Squad Beta cover the west. Follow my lead, and remember, we fight smart, not just hard." The squads moved, trusting his judgment completely. In moments, they formed an intricate network of defense covering the colony's weak points, anticipating Krith landing zones and preparing traps. Aaron took advantage of every natural feature, ice ridges, rocky outcrops, and valleys, to create choke points where the alien forces would be slowed and vulnerable. Lyra could barely contain her awe. She had seen many humans in combat, but none moved with this level of confidence, skill, and instinct. It was as if he could see the future of every possible move, and every human around him followed instinctively. Her earlier whisper returned, louder this time. "I need him." The first Krith fighters landed. Alien shapes emerged, taller and more intimidating than humans, their limbs long and fluid. Their weapons were strange and deadly, firing beams that carved through the terrain. The human squads reacted instantly, following Aaron's lead. Where most soldiers would retreat or hesitate, they pressed forward, exploiting small mistakes and weaknesses in the alien approach. Aaron moved through the battlefield like a ghost. He didn't fight recklessly. He studied, anticipated, and guided. A soldier fell under fire and he was there, pulling them to safety while providing cover fire. Another faced a Krith ambush, and Aaron redirected a squad to intercept without hesitation. Every action was deliberate, every choice precise. Minutes passed, though it felt like hours. The humans began to gain ground, pushing the Krith back toward their landing ships. Lyra's heart raced, not with fear but with admiration. She realized something fundamental. The strength of humanity did not lie in their weapons or numbers. It lay in their minds, their hearts, and their refusal to give up. The Krith, frustrated by human unpredictability, withdrew. Their ships lifted off, leaving a scarred but resilient colony behind. The humans regrouped, tired and wounded, yet victorious. Aaron stood in the center, unshaken, observing his team and ensuring no one was left behind. Lyra descended from her post, her steps silent but deliberate. She approached Aaron as he checked the perimeter, still in command, still calm. "Lieutenant Cade," she said softly, "you've done what I did not think humans could." Aaron glanced at her, expression unreadable, yet his eyes held warmth. "We do what we must," he said simply. "Humans survive because we adapt. That's what makes us dangerous." Lyra nodded, understanding for the first time the depth of human resilience. She smiled faintly, whispering once more, "I need him." This time it was a statement, not a question. She knew that with Aaron Cade on their side, humanity had a chance. Against the Krith, against impossible odds, and against the uncertainty of the universe itself. As the sun dipped behind the jagged mountains, casting long shadows across the icy plains, Aaron looked toward the horizon. The Krith would return. They always did. But so would the humans, stronger, smarter, and unyielding. And in the heart of it all, he would lead them. Because some battles were not just about weapons, but about spirit, courage, and the human way. The first part ended with the colony breathing in relief, but none so keenly aware of hope as Commander Lyra Venn. Watching Aaron Cade in combat had changed her perspective forever. She understood now that human ingenuity, courage, and heart could shape the fate of worlds, and in that understanding she whispered once more to herself softly, reverently, "I need him." The red alert sirens echoed across Vera 7 as the Krith fleet approached the colony once more. This time the threat was not just a small landing squad. The aliens had brought their main forces, vast ships that blotted out the sky and armored walkers that moved like unstoppable shadows across the frozen plains. The human colony trembled under the weight of the impending invasion. But inside the walls there was no fear, there was strategy. And at the center of it all was Lieutenant Aaron Cade. Commander Lyra Venn stood in the central command hub, eyes wide behind her visor as the displays tracked the Krith's advance. Her earlier admiration for Aaron had grown into something more profound. She had seen him in the drills, had seen the calm in his eyes, the clarity in his decisions, and she knew he was the reason humanity could even hope to survive. "Lieutenant Cade, the Krith ships are forming attack vectors," she reported, pointing to the holographic projection. "They're faster and heavier than last time. We can't hold them off with conventional defenses alone." Aaron studied the display, his brow furrowed. "Then we won't fight conventionally," he said, his voice calm but firm. "We'll fight smart." He turned to his strike team, soldiers who had come to trust him implicitly. "Alpha Squad, you'll take the eastern ridge. Beta Squad, the western approach. I will lead the central defense. Use the terrain. Make the Krith overextend. The squads moved quickly, following his instructions to the letter. The humans were outnumbered, but Aaron's confidence inspired them. Each soldier felt the difference. With him, they weren't just defending, they were thinking, anticipating, acting. The first Krith walkers hit the outer defenses. Massive, four-legged machines, their armored legs crushing ice and stone alike, advanced with precision. Their energy weapons fired beams that tore through human barricades, yet the humans adapted instantly. Soldiers fired guided projectiles to knock the walkers off balance while Aaron coordinated ambush points, using the natural ridges of the frozen landscape. Lyra watched from the command hub, noting every movement. Her mind raced as she tried to record tactics, understand his strategies, and predict what he would do next. She realized that human intelligence in combat was not just reaction, it was creativity. Aaron did not simply fight. He anticipated. He invented solutions in real time, turning even weakness into advantage. Aaron moved through the battlefield like a shadow. One Krith walker fired a beam that destroyed part of a barricade. He was there immediately, repositioning soldiers behind the rubble while signaling another squad to flank the alien machine. Within moments, the walker was disabled, its energy core destroyed by a precise strike that no standard military manual would suggest. "Move! Use the valley," he shouted, pointing toward a natural depression in the icy plains. The soldiers ran, drawing the walkers into a trap. Aaron's plan worked perfectly. The Krith, confident in their strength, followed predictably, not realizing that they were walking into a kill zone. Lyra whispered again, almost without thinking, "I need him." It wasn't just desire, it was recognition of necessity. Humanity depended on him. Without his mind, their courage, determination, and planning would not be enough. The Krith began to adapt, changing their formation, but Aaron anticipated this as well. He had accounted for multiple variables, multiple reactions, and multiple outcomes. As one Krith squad tried to flank, he redirected a group of soldiers to intercept, creating a false weakness in the center. The Krith fell for it, moving into the trap, where explosives and human ingenuity awaited. During the chaos, civilians trapped outside the colony walls cried for help. Aaron did not hesitate. He signaled a rescue team and led them personally. Using a combination of agility, cover fire, and quick thinking, they reached the stranded citizens. One child stumbled into the snow, and without breaking stride, Aaron scooped them up, shielding them from enemy fire until they reached safety. Every action he took was precise, calculated, yet carried humanity. Lyra's heart raced as she observed. She had seen leaders before, but few inspired loyalty through sheer presence rather than authority. Soldiers risked themselves under his command, not out of fear or orders, but out of trust. They believed in him. Hours passed, though it felt like minutes. The humans, guided by Aaron, began to push back the Krith forces. What the aliens thought was an easy attack turned into a battle of wits, endurance, and adaptability. The human soldiers used the environment cleverly: frozen lakes to slow walkers, rocky ridges to block energy beams, and even abandoned vehicles to create cover and distraction. Every choice was Aaron's design, yet executed flawlessly by his team. At one critical point, a Krith energy cannon targeted the colony's main power generator. If it succeeded, the colony would be crippled. Aaron sprinted across the battlefield, calculating every second. He reached the cannon and, with a small team, created an improvised shield using debris and energy-dampening devices. The cannon fired, but its energy dissipated harmlessly against their makeshift barrier. Aaron's eyes gleamed, not with pride but with satisfaction at a mission accomplished. Meanwhile, Lyra could not tear her gaze away. She realized more clearly than ever that humans had something the Krith could never predict: courage tempered by intelligence, instinct guided by creativity. Aaron embodied it all. She whispered one more time, "I need him," and this time it was more than admiration. It was a realization. The fate of the colony and perhaps humanity depended on him. As the battle reached its climax, the Krith forces began to retreat. Their machines were disabled, their squads disorganized, and their morale shaken. Humans had used strategy, intuition, and daring to win where sheer force would have failed. Aaron stood at the center of the battlefield, surveying the aftermath. Soldiers tended to the wounded, repaired defenses, and regrouped. Civilians who had been trapped were escorted back safely. Lyra descended to the field, her boots crunching against the icy ground. She approached Aaron carefully, knowing the battle was not over, yet unable to stay back any longer. "Lieutenant Cade," she said, her voice steady but filled with awe, "that was extraordinary. I have never seen human skill like this." Aaron turned to her, eyes calm but alert. "We do what we must," he replied simply. "Strength is not just in weapons or numbers. It's in thought and courage and adaptation. Humans survive because we do not stop thinking even in the worst circumstances." Lyra nodded. She understood now that the stories of human resilience were not exaggeration. They were reality, and Aaron was the living embodiment of it. She realized the truth that had been forming in her mind all day. With him, humans could achieve the impossible. Even as the Krith withdrew into the distance, the human colony knew that the danger was not gone. The aliens would return, stronger and wiser, and every battle would test the limits of human endurance and ingenuity. But with Aaron Cade leading the charge, there was hope. And hope was powerful. The night fell over the colony, icy winds howling through the mountains, carrying the scent of burnt machinery and the faint cries of exhausted soldiers. Fires burned where barricades had fallen, and the humans moved among the ruins, repairing, caring, and preparing. Amid the chaos, Lyra remained near Aaron, watching him coordinate repairs, give advice, and inspire his team. For the first time, she understood what it truly meant to need someone. Not for protection, not for guidance, but for the spirit they represented. Aaron was more than a soldier. He was a symbol of human capability, of what humans could achieve when every mind, heart, and instinct was brought to bear. The first battle was over. The Krith had been repelled, but the war was only beginning. And in the heart of it all, Lieutenant Aaron Cade stood, ready for whatever came next, with Commander Lyra Venn at his side, silently acknowledging that humanity's greatest strength lay in its people, and in the courage of those who refused to give up. The stars above Vera 7 glimmered, distant and cold, but the humans beneath them burned with determination, a force no alien could fully comprehend. And as Aaron looked toward the horizon, he already began planning the next move, the next defense, the next step in the fight for survival. The Krith would return, but so would humanity, smarter, braver, and unbroken. And Lyra whispered once more, softly, but this time with certainty, "I need him."